Welcome to the Passion Product Launch Overview. We're just going to go ahead and show you how this simple framework aligns to all the different frameworks that are involved in taking you from your passionate product to actually launching a lead generation and sales pipeline. So in the beginning, the first module is the Passion module, and that one has at least 6 frameworks. There are some additional frameworks to help flesh out the passion, the process, the prospect, your presence, and how all this fits in the marketplace. It's generally an overview to find out where people are and also to begin to uncover what needs to be found and what's already discovered. So those are the frameworks in the Passion module. The second one is the Message. It's where we take everything from the Passion module and we begin to go into depth on how to find out more on what your prospects really want in their own language and how we convert that into a show and tell. In other words, not just the messages that help to sell things and market your solutions on autopilot, but also to be able to speak it in a language that they understand, that speaks to them. It doesn't speak over the head, but helps them feel connected and to trust you more because it's like you're reading a page out of their own diary. A lot of work goes into this initially, but it's so that when we go to launch, that we're really sure that our message and our visuals and everything is in alignment and really speaks to their heart and their language so that they respond in a higher percentage. So then we go into the Spear, which is basically your lead magnet, and we'll make different lead magnets through the Spear module, possibly at least 2 with different language to test up in the 7th module so that when we launch, we'll have the ability to try to break ground into that marketplace and speak in a language that really draws people in. Okay. Then the pipeline just basically goes over your different products and how they stack up on different types of funnels and how those funnels work together to create a more comprehensive marketing and sales system on autopilot. So we go over the different kinds of pipelines or different kinds of funnels that are available and how they line up with the correct products and services that you offer. The blueprint is basically we have blueprints for web pages that work and convert, and we help to make sure we have all the elements that are necessary, all the collateral that we will need in order to make sure that our web pages are successful. The machine is where we put it all together. We set up different automation things and we make sure we have the right plugins, tools, and platform to make sure that all this work that we've done will work in a seamless machine. And once that's done, we end up testing it a few ways and that before we actually go and do a test launch. When we get to part 7, we do a test launch and we quickly adjust to make sure that our numbers are meeting the correct metrics. We're within the right range so that we're actually beginning to see some traffic, get some people interested in responding, consuming the lead magnet in the pipeline, and actually beginning to get some leads through this process. Most times we have to make some kind of adjustments because even with all of our great research and work we've done, nothing ever launches perfectly. But the better we do in these previous 6 stages, the more likely and more close we will be to hitting our target in the launch phase. So let's jump right over into some of the layout here just so it makes sense. So in the analyze phase, there's those 3 parts, the passion, message, and the Spear. And if we look back here, passion, message, and Spear are the first 3 modules, and they each have several frameworks. So the passion module has the several frameworks that we've already done here. We actually have 6, but we also have a motives grid and basically a 10 keys before startup that we use more as a survey to find out where people are, helps them become aware of what they have already and what they need. Many people have not done startups from scratch, or they've piggybacked on different business models or different partners, and therefore when they're starting from scratch, they really haven't maybe had to deal with all of the pieces that have to happen in order to do a successful startup and launch. So this just helps with that general awareness and kind of a survey format to self-test to find out where we're at and what we need. So the second part, the message module, has several as well, and we're always refining and improving these. So that second one here is the message module. This will help take all of our of the homework, all the research that we're doing, and continue to dig in, refine this so that we can turn all this into lead magnets and marketing messages, email autoresponder messages, headlines, web pages, anything that we're going to put out to the public in a visual, audio, or verbal textual way. This will help us refine those messages now. This is the refinement process beginning with the show and tell pieces that not only help to sell and market your products and services and solutions, but also help to walk clients through them when you're actually implementing it. So it just brings clarity, and sometimes we have to go through quite an ordeal here to go through the complexity to make it simple. So here's the 6 frameworks we have in here right now, and depending on what we discover, we may add 1 or 2 more just to clarify or to simplify. So the first one we're going to look at here is the perfect passion prospect. When you dig into this one, basically what this does is it helps to arm you on the different ad platforms that are available. The thing is about these new ad platforms and artificial intelligence, when you look at these things, if the more you know about the psychographics, the preferences and things that your prospect is into, what their thoughts are, what they're listening to, what they're reading, what brands they prefer, the leaders that they follow, the books they read, the kind of homes or things they purchase, the better you can do in answering some of these questions and really knowing your prospect, the more of those variables we can use in ad platforms when we're trying to target them. Sometimes these different psychographics will target a prospect and we'll get much higher conversion rates. So the more of these we know, the better we'll be able to use the artificial intelligence platforms to be able to target when we're trying to show the ads to the right people. So that's why this work is so important. So the better we do this, the better we will be at targeting with our ad campaigns on different platforms like Facebook, Google Ads, LinkedIn, things like that, where they use psychographics to better help advertisers target their prospects. Okay, so then let's jump over here to the polarity. This is a great framework for basically really fine-tuning how well we understand the frustrations and the desires, the goals, dreams, implications of our prospects. And we use this actually to create headlines as well as marketing content. So that's why it's important. Initially, we will use this framework right here to dig in and to create some headlines for our ads as well as for lead magnets possibly. So in other words, for an example, we use weight loss programs is probably one of the most black and white ways to exemplify this. So we just made up a generic, 5-in-1 meal plan will help you lose 20 to 30 pounds in 45 days or less without craving. So this is a power-packed headline that we created based on knowing this specific prospect. First, we list all their pains, frustrations, fears, and implications. In other words, the things that they want to get away from now and things they want to avoid in the future, things they want now, and the things they aspire to have in the future. So, and examples, no energy, tired all the time, overweight, afraid of never losing weight. They don't want to get heavier with age, lose energy, health, all that stuff. What do they want? They want to gain energy. They want to be at their ideal weight. They want to feel great. They want to feel young again. They want to be fit to play with grandkids. All those things, you load those up, and then we create a very concise statement that we can test in advertising as well as for lead magnets to see which ones perform the best and get better conversion rates and generate leads better for us. So we do this, though, with your prospects and with your solutions. So regardless of the industry that you're in, you can take the same approach by going down here and listing the pains and frustrations. Those are the things that they're experiencing now and their fears and implications. If they don't solve this, what's that going to mean for their future? How are things going to get worse? See, this is part of also of advertising copy and the agitate process. There's a really good marketing copy formula known as problem, agitate, solve. We identify their problems and we hook them in with some kind of benefit statement, but then we really agitate their problem, both with the good things they could have and the bad things that they're dealing with or going to experience if they don't fix the problem. And so that's where we begin to list these things. Then over here we have the goals, desires, the immediate things that they want now, and also dreams and aspirations. Let's say this is called future pacing, dreams and aspirations, and we're going to get into more of this later as we work together. So the dreams and aspirations, basically, if you could sit down with a client or prospect right now and say, hey, John, in 12 months after we're talking, and we've worked together for 12 months, how would your business look different? What are the things that would be different? What would be better? How would your conflict resolution process be handled in your office or in your business? How would your revenues be better? How would your turnover be lower? Let's talk about what that looks like. And you get them to future pace or to think about the way things can be with your solutions. And that kind of stretches the gap and shows them that you're already thinking and have a plan on how to get them there. So that's what we're going to do in this. And then we dial it down into a kind of a power solution or headline, basically where we take your solution and we say we can measure this improvement within a certain time frame and give you the good things that you want while helping you avoid the bad things you don't want. And that's basically what's in a very powerful headline. So if we go back up here, we could look at this simple headline we made with the weight loss, and it has all those elements in it, and we'll refine these as we go. It may start out longer than this, but we continue to refine it until we have something that's short and succinct that we could put in an ad campaign. So this 5+1 meal plan will help you lose 20 to 30 pounds in 45 days or less without craving. So if you can get metrics in a timeline into your headline, it's so much more powerful. So whatever you do, if you can say, hey, we can decrease turnover by 30% in the next 60 days without this or that, without this frustration or that headache, or without losing thousands of dollars in turnover, whatever that looks like, you can create these headlines using the same process. Okay, so that's the prospect polarity framework. It helps us take all of their fears, their desires, their wants, their goals, or aspirations, and converting that into headlines that we can then test in our lead magnets, in our messages, in our ads, so that we can actually connect with them and really get a powerful pull for our advertising and better conversion rates. So that's where we start with those. Then the third one, the Passion Passport Framework, we'll jump in here. And let me pull this down here as soon as it loads up. The Passion Passport Framework is really about refining your marketing message into a passport that gives you basically a passport into the lives of those people who you're trying to solve problems for. So essentially, it's basically using the Pareto principle and refining one target passion, person, problem, profit, presence pathway at a time. So you take one specific prospect, not all the ones, because they're going to be approached using different funnels. You may not, just like you may not go to a networking event and find all of your possible prospects there. You might find one kind there. So same thing with funnels. We want to focus on one specific person at a time. And we narrow this down not only into, how are we serving them to help them with their desires and to avoid their fears and implications, but who are they serving? What's the second layer of impact that they're going to have, and how do we speak into that second person that they are serving? Because usually when we're serving someone in business, they're serving someone, and we're helping them serve that person better. So this prophecy statement, what we call it a Passion Passport prophecy, is just something that we speak, something that we work on. It's a statement of prediction and affirmation and purpose. Basically, when you do what you're supposed to do, what you're good at doing, it will help other people do what they're supposed to do. So you bring it down here and you say what your passion is. I have a passion to help such and such. This is your person, whoever that target prospect is. You help them solve X, Y, and Z. Okay? And that's what you put here. I can find these people Where do you find these people? When I provide a name of your solution right here, let me see here, I'm hitting the wrong button. When I provide the name of my solution, they will be happy to pay me whatever, whatever that might be. I know this because I've proven it by this. Like, I've either done this before or my competition has done this exact same thing or something similar. Named blank is already solving similar problems for these people in the marketplace. I can possibly reach these people in the following ways. And you just name 3 very real ways that you're going to reach out to try to connect and network with them. And that's how this works. So it's just basically condensing all this into one statement that makes all this connection about what you do and your passion and how it can help other people into one statement. And then you practice writing this out in three different ways. Okay, so once you do that, you dial it in and just read through this and it'll all make sense. But this is really the refinement phase. We're refining that into a spoken word so that we can use that spoken word to refine what we do and how we're going to help people with our specific unique solutions, products, services. The fourth one, the P4 conversation magnet. Here, I'll just see if I can open these up real quick so that they will be open and ready, saving us some time here. So the P4 conversation magnet is really about, some of this was taken from some ideas like story brand and other things that I've studied in the past. But this is really taking everything you've done, and if you're at a party or if you're a networking event and you're talking to somebody, this isn't just to help you with online lead generation, but this is really taking what you do into a whole life process. And so when you get these 4 steps down, this makes your more of your conversations convert to meetings that could lead to business. Okay, that's the whole point. So the problem is that when we're talking to people at a party or someone asks you what they do and you start telling them, you get that glazed look in their eye, where you kind of lose them. And then most conversations don't go where they should go or could go because we haven't simplified our message enough. So we're in our company knowledge all day, and when we try to simplify our language, we only get to like a 7 or a 6, when what they really need is first grade. We need to get down to their level, and this is a marketing gap that's well known in the marketing realm, where we just talk over their heads. So this process is to really help simplify it so that even if they're not a prospect, they can more easily take your message and understand it quickly and think of people who they could connect you with. So a lot more of your conversations can turn into leads and potentially business simply because you're simplifying your message in a way that people get it. So we go through these steps again, these different steps. We talk about the problem, the product, the power magnet, and the prompt. So all this is you go through the problem or the pain of the prospect, then you basically give your product or service in one very concise statement. Then you talk about a positive result that this has in the marketplace. And when people use your product or service, they experience XYZ without this. And then the prompt would simply be a question that says, do you know anybody that fits this or that could use these services? That way your conversations about when someone asks you what they do, they're not boring and they don't get the glazed over look and they don't end up at a dead end where your networking event was pointless. So basically, here's an example of how I might work one out. So, and this puts all 4 of them together. So let's just take a look here real quick. So when I put all 3 of these together for me, it would be, how most business owners don't know how to grow their profits and leads on the internet because they get overwhelmed with all the internet marketing, social media, Facebook, all this craziness out there. So we have a proven 3-step process that demystifies the internet marketing, cuts out all the noise and confusion, and gets positive results fast. So business owners and entrepreneurs who use our services get up to 3 times more leads or customers from online marketing in 90 days or less without getting overwhelmed and confused by all the technology and social media options. So then the prompt might be, who comes to mind that do you know any business owners that are having problems with these things or that need more help with social media or need more help generating leads? See, then you just ask a question at the end of your statement, And either they're going to think of, oh yeah, my boss needs this, or we're having problems with this at our company, or they'll be like, no, we don't. Or, maybe they'll think of someone that they do know who is in business that's having these problems. Either way, the whole point of this is to turn more of these conversations into potential follow-up meetings and leads. Okay, so number 5, if this loads up, are the passion power lines. Now, these power lines are used to create powerful headlines. And let's just zoom down here. This is where the rubber meets the road. It's where you take all of this. Let's see here. You basically put all this together in powerful headlines that you can use for marketing and advertising. And then I give several different kinds of examples of ways to rework your power lines or headlines so that you can test different versions or different kinds of approaches, like a case study headline, a call out headline, a baited question, curiosity approach, a bandwagon approach, and little known secret. So we're talking about the same weight loss formula example type thing. So a case study example could be, see how busy moms in their 40s are easily losing 10 to 20 pounds per month and getting their energy back without strenuous exercise or terrible cravings. That's a powerful, packed headline that could be really used in an advertising or lead magnet campaign. So that's a case study example. See, we're putting it off to other people and not being threatening. We're saying, see how other busy moms in their 40s are doing this. Then call out example. You could say, attention busy mom. This is where you really try to shout out and call them out. Learn how you too could lose 20 pounds per month, blah, blah, blah. So, and that also has a little bit of a bandwagon approach because it says you too could lose. Then the baited question is simply this: are you tired of other moms being thinner and having tons of energy? Okay, so this is a little bit of a trigger question. So it's a baited question. It draws them in. And then we load it up with the benefit so that they read on. The bandwagon, is join thousands of busy moms, and we're still hitting our avatars. Busy moms who have kids and they want to lose some extra weight and get their energy back. And then little known secret, there's all kinds of headline tricks like this, but I just list some of the top 5 here that you can rework your headline to test when you go to launch your ad campaign. Okay, and it shows you how to do that with the metric and timeline, put it all together, and test different headlines. That's what number 5 is for. Number 6, let's see here, it's still loading. This is your prosperity plan. Now this piece here is very powerful. What this is this is your roadmap, your signature solution. This is what gives you the big brand appeal. So when you get to this point, this is a lot of fun and it takes some work, but once you're done, not only can you use this roadmap to sell and market, but you can use it to build trust and walk your clients through a roadmap so that they always know and feel that they're on the right track. Okay, so it creates a lot of cohesiveness and unity while you're walking through as well. And there's a little story of that I put in here for beginning entrepreneurs on boundaries and why they're important. I don't know what led to that actually, but I do know that it's important for some people who will be seeing this coursework and running through it. A lot of times people with a servant heart, sometimes they let people run them over, and this just goes through how to set up good boundaries so that your business runs and you don't get burned out. So right here, let's look at this. This was our original prosperity plan, or our signature solution, or whatever you want to call it. Every marketing guru has their own take on this. Okay, and this one has 9 stages. You've seen these kind of diagrams all over the place, but in sales and marketing, they're pretty powerful. Ours started out this way, and we're still testing this one versus the other one that we have designed. And basically, this just says, hey, look, we've got 3 phases, and we've got 9 modules to help you get from where? To get from your passion to a launched business, okay? And our statement, our power statement, has to do with, launch your passion into an online business in 90 days or less without marketing confusion, tech frustration, or overwhelm. That's what this system is supposed to help you do. And that's what the coaching is supposed to help you do. So this is our original framework right here, our original solution. This gives us the big brand appeal, creates trust, and shows that we have a roadmap, a clear path from A to B. And that's what you're going to create in yours. Yours may end up looking different, having a different number of steps, but it also, excuse me, it also is designed to help you do this, to stretch the gap where they are on their own success journey and where they want to be. And it also shows them that you have the ticket, you have the roadmap that helps them get from A to B. It shows the simplicity of success with your solution. You don't just tell it. This helps you to show it as well, and it's more powerful because you're using a visual sense as well as the auditory and textual. It quickly establishes one clear path to their success, and that you already have a clear path to help them out. It doesn't make you the hero. This doesn't make me the hero. It helps them be the hero on their own journey, and you're the guide. Okay, that's the power of it. People do want to be the hero in their story, and this helps. And if you look at all the great stories that we've read in the past decades, there's always someone with a problem who runs into someone who's kind of a guru or has some wisdom in that area, and they become a guide or a partner. So this map helps you to become a partner with your prospects, so that they see you more as a partner, not so much as a guru or someone who's above them, but someone who's coming alongside the journey to help them get from A to B. So this puts you on the same side as them. You know, you're attacking the journey, locking arms together as partners. This also establishes your experience and authority while quickly building trust and connection. And there's a lot more psychological things that happen by giving them a clear roadmap like this. The simplicity, all kinds of things. We get into the transformations too, and I'll help with that later on. But the transformations that they experience under each one is very, very important. And you start with this, basically with this P5 marketing framework. This basically is the story that I just told you. It's basically you have a prospect with a pain or problem. You partner with them because you understand their pains and fears. You have a plan to help them. If they get on that plan and they work that plan, they're going to experience success. Your plan and your message helps to propel them to take action. And if they do the work and they stay on track, they're going to prosper because of it. They're going to be way better off as a result of sticking your plan versus not doing it. And if they don't do the plan, then there's also implications of things that they will not get, and probably some negative experiences they may still continue to have because they failed to follow through with your plan. So that's the P5 process, and it helps you just create a clear, simple story that they can really relate to, that doesn't speak over their head, and they can say in 5 steps, wow, I really understand how you're here to help me, and you have a clear path. So you work through the P5, and once you do that, I assure you these things come together. Okay, so that's just an overview for this roadmap. So now you go down to the transformations on this this signature solution or roadmap, and if you look at the big picture, let's go back up here just so you don't get lost, because I interjected the P5 in the middle to show you how you kind of wrap a story around this. Okay, that's used to wrap your story. Here, I'm having a little trouble scrolling here. So if you look at this picture, there's 3 phases. Ours, first we have to analyze to make sure that we have everything we need to be able to build the automation before we launch. Okay, if we don't analyze properly, we're not building on a strong foundation. Okay, the second part is we're going to automate this. We're going to build all the pieces and tools and put it all together in a way that it can handle the traffic and it can sort them properly and can nurture them properly once we open the doors to our funnel. And that's what this is about. So remember these 3 phases. This first phase is analyze, the second one's automate, the third one's amplify. So let's go back down here and I'll show you how that fits. When we go to this one, see, here's the 3 phases, and we're going to do this with your business as well. Phase 1 is usually some kind of foundation or analysis work. It's an intake path. It's a discovery. It's a plan. It's where you're getting to know each other. You have to do certain analyses and things to make sure that the work you're going to be doing together is on the right path. And then you usually develop a plan, some kind of plan at the end of phase 1 that you're both going to work on and agree to, so that it creates that momentum, unity, and clarity. So phase 2, our first phase is analyze, and that has the passion, the message, and the spear. Phase 2 is the automate. It's where we start to map out and blueprint the automation phase. We understand what automation is. Second, we get the blueprints, and then we build the machine together. This second phase is usually some kind of process that you take them through. It's the training, it's the equipping, it's the delivery of your service after you do all the analyses. And then you talk about what kind of transformation they should experience through this. So in our first analysis phase, they're going to go from passion to plan. Okay, so we're going to help you with your passion and turn it into a plan that you can work on. It also helps take you and your clients from confusion to clarity. So we usually find these one-word transformations, and it takes some work to get there, but that's okay. We'll simplify that and make it work. The second phase for us is really helping someone go from a rickshaw, where you're carrying the heavy load for your business, to a race car. So we fine-tune your sales process and your marketing process to automate that, so that you're not carrying so many buckets, and you turn it into a pipeline. Okay, your clients also will go from lost to led. So they go to a website where there's just so much confusion and too much information, no one really engages, to a very strict pipeline where people really are. We're speaking to one person, one message, and we're getting them to take one specific action. Okay, we're not overwhelming them or confusing them on a web page. We're really trying to serve one person at a time. So in your second phase, when you do this, you're going to talk about your process, your training, your equipping, your building, whatever you are going to do with your client or prospect in this middle phase. That's what your 3 steps are going to be in here. So each one of these are going to have 3 little blocks, 3 little mini transformations. So for a total of 9. Now you may get to 7 where you launch and you do something, and you may have extra phases. That's how ours is set up. By the time we get to 7, we've built a full funnel, we've identified all that stuff, and we've launched, and we've seen what kind of results we're going to get, and we improve from there. And then as their business grows, they have access possibly to a duplication and a multiplication module to help grow their online business into an actual asset. And that takes longer. This process could be 18 months to 5 years. Just depends on how far they want to go, or if their business moves in that direction. So that's where you be fruitful, you multiply, you fill and replenish, you take dominion in your marketplace. That's where you get a foothold and you start growing right here. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is you want to find out what your first 3 phases are. Where's your client at now? That's their A. Where are they going to be when you're all done with them? That's your B. You're taking them from A to B. And then you just define those. And then you talk about the major transformation in phase 1, the major transformation they'll experience in phase 2 and phase 3, and so forth. Then we break those phases down into 3 mini steps. So originally they're going to go from point A to point B by going through 3 big steps. So if you were to write a book about your process with your clients, let's say that book had 5 chapters. This is another analogy. See, I'm just using analogies to help make this clear and to help make you think about it in different ways, so that it really becomes a part of your process. So they are in condition A. This is where they're not realizing their full potential. They're here in this status, and they're here in this condition without your products and services. Once they go through your 3 transformations, your 3 stages, whatever those are, they're going to be better off for it, and that's where they are in B. So you define A, how they are now. You define B, how they'll be in 6 to 12 to 18 months after working with you. And these are 3 big transformations they will go through, and there will be one major transformation from A to B. Okay, so each one is a mini step on that path to major transformation. And this is such a powerful way to communicate once we simplify it. But we have to go through the complex part in order to be able to have the truth in here so we can simplify. Okay, so describe your prospect's current condition, and it goes into this. And then give it a one-word title. Then describe your first phase, and then give it a one-word title. Describe the second and third phase of your plan, give it a one-word title, and then describe your prospect's future condition after they succeed in your plan. Give that also a one-word title. Then here's the next step, and this is the last step, okay, before we brand this thing and turn it into an actual intellectual property. You begin to break each of those 3 big steps into 3 smaller stepping stones. This is what we call them, stepping stones. So let's say your first analysis phase was, we did that up here, okay, so just these 9 blocks or these 3 rows are the same as, let me go back up here, they're the same as these 3 major phases that we did here. They're the same as these right here that are finished. See how simple this is? Okay, so I could use this diagram to explain, to sell, to convince, to create trust, to create clarity, simplicity. But I had to go through an awful lot of work to get to this because I had to completely understand my own process on how I help people. And this is what we're going to do with you as well. And then you can brand this in amazing ways to make it look really sharp. I'll show you an example here too of 1 or 2 that we branded, and it really helps them in the sales process, not in the sales process, but to continue to guide people through. It just helps people. So those 3 phases turn into 9 stepping stones. Each phase has 3 stepping stones. So what are the 3 little transformations that your customer has to, or your client has to go through in order to get through phase 1? And then what are the 3 stepping stones they have to go through in order to go successfully through phase 2? And then also for phase 3. And then you give each one of those as well a little transformation. So for the passion module, they may go from questioning to clarity. For the message, they may go from confusing to clarity or something like that. So for the spear or the magnet, they may go from repulsive to magnetic. I wouldn't say repulsive because that's too negative, but you get the idea. After you create a lead magnet in our stage 3, I would just say, you're going from not attracting to attracting. All right, so that's what that does. It helps attract clients. Okay, so you get the idea, and that's what you do. So we have refined ours to kind of this little 7-step, and this is a cover that we created for a lead magnet. It's still being tested. Okay, so these are always being tested. And then right here, we also created this cover to test. And this lays out our 3 stages in simplicity and gives the 7 steps. And then there's 8 and 9, but those are afterthoughts. So also in this framework, I give you an example of a client that I've been working with on a 6-figure sales training program. This is the, excuse me, these are the 9 phases. Their initial condition and their final condition, and I just show you how we block this out and give some ideas of some simple icons that might fit for each one. And when we are done, here's the actual finished product, the 6-figure sales roadmap. Okay, so 3 simple steps to transform your sales from stereotype to superstar. So we found out that most salespeople are often repulsed by people in the business world, and they have to really fight. So they're going to transform their reputation from being that stereotype into becoming a sought-out superstar. And this transformation process that Brent takes them through is very powerful. It changes their beliefs. They go through an assessment, and they have a plan. And this first stream transforms them from bondage to freedom and from crippling identity to champion identity. So they're trying to get these people to become from a stereotype to a superstar salesperson, where they are sought after and they're more of a servant, and people like them and actually they enjoy their sales calls because they're not trying to always push products on them, but they're trying to serve them. So this initiation is the 2nd phase, where they transform from practicing to professional, from amateur to angler. So he uses a fishing analogies in his and fishing and hunting in his training. And so the first part is learn, then launch, then excel. This is the actual initiation and coaching process where he works with them in a real live sales setting in the real world to help get feedback and help them improve. And then finally, they begin the illumination processes. They transform from flicker to flames and from little impact to major impact. So he talks about how much impact they want to have in their life and career, and he shows them how this sales process, this six-figure sales roadmap, and his other plans help them to improve their impact so that they can have a more successful life, not just in sales, but overall their entire life impact. So he talks about replication, duplication, multiplication, basically helping other people become good at sales in their team or organization and go more for a servant-hearted salesperson. So this is an actual example you can go through to show how we went through from this rough draft and the ideas, the baseline ideas, and we put a bow on it and made it into a branded roadmap that really helps not only sell but to lead. So hope that helps. Use these frameworks here to flesh out all of your stepping stones and your 3 phases, your 9 stepping stones. Whatever number makes sense, but it has to have a nice symmetry to it. When it has symmetry, then you have a plan that's not only branded well, but is clear, concise, and compelling. Hope that helps, and that's the end of this video in terms of overlooking the message module and why we're using all 6 of these frameworks to really help you in your sales and marketing process, not only to clarify and simplify your message, but to create the intellectual property that will help you deliver and really sell on autopilot. Good luck. If you have any questions, let me know.